Hello, everybody. Welcome to the real talk of the Too Good to Be True podcast. I am your host, Pascal Mayala, and today we are talking about the NBA final preview between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. But before we talk about the finals, make sure to listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, any platform you can find this podcast, or you can listen to this on YouTube on the channel Too Good to Be True podcast with Pascal Mayala. I want you guys to do me a favor when you go to my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, notify, and leave your comment because your comment means a lot to me. And now let's talk about the NBA Finals preview between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. So today, Thursday, Game 1 at 6:30 p.m. in the United States and Canada, 2:30 in the morning in France or in Europe. So today, we talk about the NBA Final Preview. The Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. So what can we expect from the NBA Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks? We expect to have two teams with great expectation. So let's start with the Boston Celtics. So for the Boston Celtics, for them in their playoff run, let's start with the playoff run. Yes, a lot of people will say, oh, the Boston Celtics had an easier path, because the first round they were playing against the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler was hurt. Then the second round, they play against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who also, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, they were injured. And in the Eastern Conference Final against the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton was injured. So I can understand that. But you cannot deny their run. Yes, people will say their run is got an easiest path, and they haven't been tested. To me, they have been tested because even though they lost two lost in the playoff run, it doesn't mean that their run was easy. Every run of every NBA team are different. No different than the Golden State in 2007 when they swept the playoff. But they were a tough game. So to me, the narrative of the Boston Celtics had an easier path. No, that's not true at all. So I don't want to hear this story of this narrative of the Boston Celtics have an easier path. No. Okay. Now that they are in the NBA final, what do I expect? I expect Jason Tatum to have a moment in the NBA final to show us and show the world what does it take to be in the NBA, to be the face of the league. and that the narrative of him is false, and that you got to prove yourself, Jaylen Brown. You got to prove people wrong that you are a great player in the biggest moment. And sometime, and this is a knock on Jason Tatum. He's the best player on the Celtics, but he doesn't show it. So my challenge to you, sir, Jason Tatum, is to prove everybody wrong. Prove me wrong that you are the greatest player on this team, and that you gotta to show yourself in the moment in the NBA Finals. Now for Jaylen Brown, I'll tell you what, Jaylen Brown impressed me every time. You know, it's like he has a personal vendetta against the media. Because they didn't vote him for the all time team, first team, second team, third team, the all NBA team. And I like it. It motivated him. He needs to show up too in the NBA Finals too. Even though 2 years ago, Jaylen Brown was the best player in the NBA Final in 2022 over Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum had the whole package, He's the guy. So, to me, Jaylen Brown will show up. But and who else need to prove something? I know Kristaps Porzingis did not play the whole playoff. They said that there was a report that he expects to play game 1 in the NBA Finals. And you know what? I hope he played well. He doesn't need to ball out, but his effect needs to be there. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't play the whole playoff series against the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers, and the Pacers. So Kristaps Porzingis need to ball out also because he's coming back from a calf injury. He doesn't need to do that much. And you got Drew, and also that Kristaps Porzingis need to be effective with the ball on the court. That's all I gotta say about him. Drew Holiday, a championship. He knows his role. I don't need to say much about him. Defensive guy, reliability. So Drew Holiday will do his thing. Coach Mazzulla, he need to adjust the play in the NBA Finals, because if you look at the last year playoff run, and a lot of people critique, this year I criticize him that he doesn't adjust the system on the court. They're playing too much 1-on-1, 3-ball, and that's it. Defensively, they're good. They're an amazing defensive team. They are an amazing defensive team. I don't know where the stat. I don't know if I could find a stat about the where they rank on defense, but I think they're on the top 10, something like that. So if anyone knows where they rank on defense, just leave your comment on YouTube, please, because I need to find out. Uh, Now let's go with the Dallas Mavericks now. What do I expect for the Dallas Mavericks? Kyrie will be Kyrie Irving, okay? Kyrie will show up in the big stage, at the biggest moment, and to prove that he had a championship ring. To prove it. Remember Game 7? When Kyrie shot the ball to lead the Cleveland Cavaliers winning their first championship. Remember that? So he had that experience in the playoff, in the finals, 3 straight in the NBA finals. So Kyrie Irving will do a thing. Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, that's his first appearance in the NBA finals. I know it's going to be pretty tough when you go to your first NBA finals. It will be a lot of pressure for him, believe me. But I don't think he's afraid of the big stage. He will ball out in the finals. So for Dallas Mavericks, like I said, Luka and Kyrie gonna do their thing. What do I expect for the Dallas Mavericks? If you look at their playoff run, they've been on a tough road. First, that they beat the Clippers in 6. Same thing with the a young OKC. They beat them in 6, and also OKC was the first seed at the Western Conference. And he went against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who, by the way, they're a great defensive team. They beat them. What do I expect? Defense will be reliability. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, they're gonna show up, and the rest of the bench also. Whoever was gonna play, by the way, and Jason Kidd will adjust in the NBA Finals because he been there not as a coach but as a player. He been there like 3 times. He won 1. He knows the experience to be in the NBA Finals. And you know how effective that Jason Kidd will had with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Now, let's talk about the X factor. Who is the X factor on the team? Let's start with the Boston. Let's start with the Boston Celtics. Who's the X factor? People will say it's Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving, or Luka, or Jason Tatum. I talk about both superstars. I mean, but for me, it's gonna be Kristaps Porzingis, the X factor for the Celtics, because remember, he just came back from an injury. And he affects the game as a big man. That every time you can do a pick and roll on him, he can really go off the screen, put a step back and shoot the ball from a 3-point or the 2-point. So Kristaps Porzingis will be effective. He doesn't just affect on the ball. He can be effective off the ball, And I don't know. I don't know about his post-up game. I don't think he had a post-up game. Personally, I do think he have it, But he can be effective in the post up too, because remember, one of the things that the Mavs have an issue against the Timberwolves is that the the Timberwolves were a good low post player on Karl Anthony Towns, and sometimes they were playing too much small ball that the Timberwolves would not have the advantage. Did not have the advantage to go in the post. Luka, on the other hand, actually not Luka, but Kristaps Porzingis, my bad, I still talking about the Celtics. Kristaps Porzingis can be in the low post. You know, same thing with Al Horford, which I forgot about him. Al Horford can be like a second X factor, but he's up there. He's 30 years old, 38 years old. So I don't know how it will be effective, but Kristaps Porzingis, he's the X factor, like I said. Now for the Mavericks, who's the X factor? The X factor is PJ Washington. Remember, the Dallas Mavericks made a trade to get him, and get the center of Washington, Gatford. I know he can shoot big threes, but also he needs to be effective from defense. Because defense for the Maverick is top notch. For PJ Washington, he had to step up because there's some game he disappeared. In case, like, I believe it was game five, something like that. I don't remember. He disappeared against the Timberwolves. So those are the X factor that I have for the NBA Finals. ESPN bet said that the Celtics probably going to win the NBA championship by minus 66.5, minus 110 over the Dallas Mavericks, who are plus 200, 205. I believe that's just for game one. Yeah, I think for game one, yeah. So, my prediction. Who do I think gonna win game one? I would say Boston Celtics will win game one. Boston will win game one because the experience of the NBA Finals. I think for the game one, the Maverick will be humble in game one. Kyrie will do his thing. Don't get me wrong. Kyrie will not be humble. He will do his thing. But it's just that Boston crowd. I mean, Boston fans are one of those diehard fans. And when you go in this environment, especially in a home court like Boston, the atmosphere, the humbleness will probably gonna affect the Mavericks. So to me, that could play a huge factor. And also another factor that Boston Celtics could win game one is because if you remember 2 years ago, they were up 2-1, and then they blew away. They blew their chance to winning it. But game one, I think they will get the one vengeance. What happened the previous the 2 years ago? So to me, that's also going to be the effective of this is game one. And that's all I got to say about that for today, for the NBA final preview. Like I said, game one is probably the most important game ever. Game one. Because game one will be, I'll be say this, the beginning of the teaching moment. What will we learn in game one? How can we be better in game two? So, to me, game one is going to be very important for both teams. Now, if you like this podcast, and like I said, you can follow this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, so on and so forth, and any platform you can find it. You also have it on YouTube, which I have a YouTube channel, Too Good to Be True podcast with Pascal Mayala. I want you guys to do me a favor. Like, subscribe, notify, and leave your comment. Because your comment is very important. Let's a little bit switch gear before I leave, and I want to talk about something that I just saw on Bleacher Report, that the WNBA has been a rock. Actually, the WNBA player has been confronted with fans. That happened on Wednesday night outside the Washington D.C. hotel. There was according to the Chicago Sun Time, there was an incident in the hotel in Washington D.C. Especially that person was targeting Kennedy Carter, and this is what Angel Reese wrote this on X, formerly Twitter, and I want to read it. But before I read this, it said that in Bleacher Report that somebody were harassed. I think, I don't know who it was. Maybe a man, maybe a woman, but it has to be a man. Trying to harass Kennedy, some of the Chicago Sky players in the hotel to go to the bus. I think it was Sunday night, like I said. So let's read what Angel Reese got to say. She said on X, from the Twitter, and I quote, finding out our team hotel to pull with the camera as we get off the bus and put in my teammate's face, harass her is nasty work. This really is out of control and need to stop. That's not all. Her teammate, Isabel Harrison, tweeted out also that, wow, thank God for the security. My team being harassed at our hotel is insane. Couldn't even step off the bus. Another teammate of injuries, Michaela Oniera, sorry, my pronunciation. She tweeted out that getting harassed at our hotel is where the line needs to be drawn. Some fans have no chills. And she continues saying that we have security and that they did a great job of de-escalating the situation, protecting us. It's still extremely weird and crossing the boundary, meaning us right when we got off the bus. And that's not all. Brianna Turner, who wasn't in present when the Sky players were harassed. She tweeted out this, and she said, and I quote, "I wasn't present for the interaction from earlier, but what occurred isn't acceptable. Didn't realize that when we said during the game that will be interpreted as harassing players at hotels. You are free to have your own opinion, but consider if this happened to someone you know. Yes, we thankful travel with security, but the absurd headline recently had certainly created an unstable environment for our safety. I've been called every racial slur imaginable lately, and my teammates have had it even worse." So she continues saying that no, I will not accept racism as a part of the game. No, I am not sensitive. And no, I won't simply ignore the ignorant take I've seen. The majority of you committing could care less about the success of the WNBA and are only concerned with division. It's troubling to even speak out on because I know half of the response will be filed with slur and making excuse for unacceptable behavior. I know we all have different value and outlook, but the discourse as the late is disingenuous to say the least. So this is what Injury's teammate gotta say. I must say this. Yes, the Kennedy Carter hit on Caitlin Clark is unacceptable. Okay, I talked about it on my YouTube channel, Too Good to Be True podcast. You can listen to this on my YouTube channel if you have missed it. So it's up there on my YouTube channel. But this is out of control. I mean, what's your manners? I understand that Kennedy Carter did what Kennedy Clark is unacceptable, but please show some respect on yourself. Show some respect on the Chicago Sky players. And I'm glad that the security protected those Chicago Sky players. What happened if that person had a knife? What happened if that person got a gun? We will have a different discussion right now. So, to me, it's unacceptable what that fan did. I presume it's a man. If you are a fan of Caitlin Clark, be a fan. But stop harassing players because the player did something dirty on her, and you're trying to harass all the WNBA players. Not only that, if he or she, and I believe it's a he, it has to be a man. If he tried to harass those players, those WNBA players, you know what it's called? It's called sexual abuse. Or sexual harassment. Because one thing for sure that I will not accept is to harass a WNBA player. Same thing with the NBA players, NFL players, baseball player, hockey player, and so on and so forth. Even gymnastics, individual sport like boxing, tennis, any sport. There should be boundaries between fan and the players. And this is another example on why we the the WNBA player needs more security. Not only because they're professional, but they're women. So thank God, thank God, the Chicago Sky player like injuries were okay. I hope it doesn't reproduce again because, like I said, what happened if that person got a knife, who or a gun? We will have a different story right now. And I know people will say this, and some of it is on Kennedy Carter because she hit Caitlin Clark, you know, and also in the press that she had no comment, but yet she wrote it on her ex, formerly Twitter, about the situation. I mean, you guys are full of shit, okay? You guys are full of shit who trying to say that. So, to me, there should be respect between the fan and the athlete on it. Fans should not harass athlete when they're coming out of their hotel. I mean, and also one thing also that also bothered me is that person who was filming the camera, because I thought I read in the Bleacher Report that he had a camera. He tried to confront those Chicago Sky players. Not all of them, but some of them. We can do whatever we want. We can film them. No, you're not allowed. No. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. No, you can. You can do that, but also you got to show some respect. Show some respect on yourself. Show some respect on the other people. Privacy, not privacy, but yeah, whatever privacy, whatever you want. Show some respect on yourself. If I did that to you right now, I have a camera phone, and I did that to you, how do you feel? So this notion of we can do whatever we want, No, you're not allowed to do whatever you want. The same thing with in WWE. The WWE fan can be actually WWE fan are much worse than the fan of NBA, WNBA, and other sport. They're much worse. So, to me, there should be some boundary and there should be some respect between fan and athlete. Because remember, athletes are also human. They're like us. Like civilian people we are. They breathe like us. They bleed like us. They also have problem like us, but even though they are manufactured because they have the spotlight on them. So there should be some respect. Please. Don't be people. Don't be like those idiot fans, please. So that's all I gotta say for today. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you want to follow me on social media, follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Belly versus PMM. On Threads, on Pascal underscore Mayala underscore 15. Same thing on Instagram, Pascal underscore Mayala underscore 15. And I will say this, thank you very much, and enjoy the NBA Final Game 1. I will talk about it on my podcast after like tomorrow. Recap of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So I will say this, thank you, and enjoy Game 1 of NBA Finals.